Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 everyone. This is my first time hoping to see everybody on my Facebook and my LinkedIn and my YouTube channel. It's Ayana Brown and I am here with Miss Laura Jackson and Sean Samad. Did I say your name correctly? I just want to make sure.
You did.
Okay. All right, and bear with me, y'all. Like I said, I'm looking at multiple screens because the girl is learning this on the fly. So, that being said, we are here today. Looks like, yeah, looks like we're online on Facebook. So we're here today to talk about emotional emancipation circles. Now, most people have not heard of them, but we're going to talk about them today because both Laura and Sean are going to be facilitating our first one together in 2 days. And we thought, just in light of America. We ought to really talk about why we enjoy doing this so much. Why are we so passionate about it and what it means? So, if you will, I see Sean, you're muted, so I'm going to say Laura. Could you introduce yourself first, please?
Of course. Hello, everyone. Laura Jackson here. I'm coming to you from Ontario, Canada. And I am thrilled to be a part of this circle, facilitating with both Sean and Yana on Thursday. Um, I am in healthcare right now. I am a healthcare leader. I also practice psychotherapy and coaching. I have my own business called Paradigm Joy, where I offer holistic wellness services. And I also still work in the corporate sector in mental health. Um, I am pretty much maybe a year into getting connected with EECs. I first came to them through a conference on Black mental health. And from there, I went on to participate in a circle and then went on to learn to facilitate. Yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura. And Sean?
Hi, everyone. I am coming to you from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. I work with primarily the Black Consciousness Festival, which is how I got exposed to emotional emancipation circles. Last year for our festival, we had encountered Community Healing Network and engaged Jan and someone who, a psychologist who does it here in Trinidad, to kind of do like an introductory session. Following that, we participated in two of the directors, myself and another, participated in one of the circles, and then I went on to get trained as a facilitator. I really think, in my opinion, it's one of the few kind of engagements or programs that tackle the issues that we are grappling with as people of African descent, not only um, in the United States, but all across the Americas. I think the issues are so similar, so interconnected, and sometimes we tend to lose sight of that. But this program helps us to kind of zone into the similarities that we have and how we can kind of work together and collaborate to deal with these issues. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you both. As far as me, I was introduced to this on a trip. I was on a trip with my husband on a relocation tour with Black expats in Panama. Hopefully, she's seeing this. If not, I'll make sure that I put her in the chat. Ms. Charlotte Van Horn and her awesome husband. We were in Panama just rethinking our lives. This was right as COVID started breaking a bit. We were feeling safe enough, safe enough to go traveling again after being stuck in the house during COVID, during George Floyd. We realized that we might want to think about leaving the country. So we go on the Black expats in Panama relocation tour, and I actually meet a facilitator, and she introduces to me, and it definitely changed just how I look at most things now in this world, in this country. I felt that what I learned from the ECs actually, in the beginning, actually I got upset about it because I was like, why wasn't I told this before? So that is why I became so passionate, not only about going through my own circle like you all did, but also to become a facilitator and try to spread the word to whomever was actually open to learning how to defy the lie and embrace the truth. So I'm very excited. This will be my very first facilitation. I believe you all as well. And my goal for this is to keep doing it, to bring it in conversation, to bring it to any place where they are talking about mental health, the same way they have AA meetings. I believe that this would be fantastic, especially for our community anywhere. We need it. We need that healing.
Definitely, I agree with you 100%.
Mhm.
And especially for, like, I guess in most things positive and healing oriented, you have more women involved than men, and
Mhm.
that's kind of been one of the motivations for me to be a part of it. I think it's really important for men to be involved in these emotional emancipation circles in whatever way possible. As participants, as facilitators, but just to be involved, just to be a part of that healing process, because we all have to be on this journey. I think for it to take critical mass. So
Absolutely. I agree. We need our men. We need our men empowered. And I'm grateful that you are a part of this because in most places where I see that there is a need for mentoring, there is a lack of us Black men.
yeah.
And we want them to be empowered and to speak up, to talk, so and lead. So I appreciate you coming out. So this is a Tuesday evening, I believe, so we're not going to take up too much time, but we just wanted to talk about pretty much from your perspective the top three benefits of an emotional emancipation circle, whether it's in your community or in the country. What do you think, Laura? You can go first.
Yeah, so maybe I'll share maybe one and we'll go back and forth,
Hmm.
whatever.
That'll work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one big one for me, it's really, I think, a safe space to really process the stress of racism, racial trauma. I found it to be a safe space for myself, knowing the impacts that that can have on mental health. You can't just talk to anybody. So coming together in a non-threatening, non-judgmental space is my number one.
Hmm. I would say, for me, I'm kind of like a multi-level learner. Like I have different learning styles, and different kinds of things appeal to me. And what I enjoyed about emotional emancipation circles was exactly that. That there was, for example, the homework, which was listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video, and then processing it and having the space to post something about how I felt or what I thought about it. That was really useful. But then in the actual sessions, the use of music, the space for people to kind of just talk through how they were feeling or what was most impactful for them, was also useful. And then the combination of tools, specific tools on how to cope and deal with whatever situations we might find ourselves in emotionally and mentally, as well as activities. Like some of the activities were really striking and impactful, I find. So the combination of all these different ways to get across, the messages and the thoughts and the just giving us opportunities to think through, all of these different things that we face as Black people in these various societies. Yeah.
Absolutely. Both of you, I attest. I definitely resonate with both of that. For me, I think the biggest thing, and Sean, you kind of mentioned it, was the learning. I felt that received an education that I told you at first angered me because here I am, with all these accolades, with all this information, and I felt like a fog was lifted from my head. Like I felt like I've been with blinders all my life about our capabilities, our impact on this country, stuff I did not know. I just did not. I mean,
Mhm.
I had to learn about the Maroons and my father is Jamaican, my mother's from the Bahamas. I learned about the Maroons truly from playing a video game, from playing Assassin's Creed.
Mm,
Then, then I'm learning about the impact of the Chinese in this country by reading George Takei's his comic book. I did not know this was not
mhm,
on none of my schools, even the gifted and talented schools. I never knew about how much that we've done and we could have been proud of. And I remember just being annoyed that when I was interested in something like math and I felt alone in it, thinking
mm,
that, okay, I did not belong here. I was told sometimes I did not belong there and I believed it. And then I
mm,
come here, by the grace of God that I've, got into these and I'm like, wait a minute, we are amazing. We've done so much. I'm supposed to be proud. I am supposed to want more and aim higher.
mhm,
So it was the education. It was when I think about when I hear about the complaints against critical race theory, and I still haven't found out exactly what it is that is so forbidden. But after going through this, I want to know. I want to know it all. Like whatever you're hiding from me, I'm pretty sure I need to know.
yeah,
So while everybody's arguing about it, I'm over here like, what book did they read? I'm writing that one down, adding that. I got a couple in the back. I'm like, okay, anything you don't want me to read is a guaranteed thing I'm going to read from now on.
yeah,
And I feel that it was the other part of that anger was that I wish my kids would have had this. If I would have known, they would have known. So
mhm,
it's like residual annoyance, if you will.
yeah,
So that was my very first thing. The education was phenomenal. I learned about poets and just I read things that I didn't realize I was hungry for
mhm,
until these. So I really enjoyed it.
nice. What's your second one, Laura?
So my second one is your first one's. So I had pretty much learned about African history, right?
Hmm.
Before enslavement, right? Learn about the beauty of African history, culture, philosophy,
Hmm.
art, everything, and unlearning what I was taught and what's around us that teaches us the myths, right? So
Mhm,
dispelling all the myths. So for me, it was the learning is a big number two for me. So.
yeah. For
Okay.
me, number two. So right before we had done. So I think the intensive in January of this year, but last year the Black Consciousness Festival had done a book club with a small group of people who were interested, and we read PTSD, Post Traumatic Slave Disorder,
Really?
by Dr.
That
Forgetting her name,
Joy
Joy DeGruy. Yes.
yeah, I want
So
that.
we read that, and we met once a week and kind of went through because she has a study guide that goes along with the book. So we read the book, we did the study guide exercises, and we met once a week and went through it. And so that was almost like a really good primer to kind of prepare me for the intensive.
Mm.
One of the things that struck me about all the methods that are used in the EECs is the realization of how much we've been conditioned to judge ourselves and our community, right? And the people in the community, and to kind of always think, well, it's kind of like the old time saying, why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Why don't you just, suck it up and deal with it? And it was through the EECs I started realizing how I was also conditioned to think that way. So that sometimes when there would be a discussion happening and people might be talking about their own experiences or things that they are dealing with, in my internal dialogue, I was hearing myself thinking that way. And I started through the EEC, started to realize more and more how important it is for us to acknowledge the amount of difficulties and challenges we've been through, but also to acknowledge the amount of amazing things that we have done and continue to do as people of African descent. And that we might be at different points in that journey. And so an immense amount of patience, compassion, empathy is required because we're not going to all be approaching or dealing with things from the same starting point. And as a community, if we want everybody to heal and to move forward and to do better, then I think patience and empathy are like two really important things. And that only happened, that realization, I think, came because of the EDCs.
Yes, that's profound. I agree. The judgment in me has definitely changed because
Mm-hmm.
now I see it as a lack of knowing, a lack of
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be putting some stuff in the chat as we keep mentioning these amazing resources for people to go ahead and check them out. Um, for me, part of it was the bond that I think that I had with absolute strangers. You know, I don't trust this country anymore. So for me to meet people, and then now after going through that, I do want to go ahead and do my lineage. I do want to find out where do I belong? Where is my tribe? I want to do whatever it takes to find more of me. And even the way I talk about, recently I was talking about my bonus kids and remembering what I learned that, in Africa, there's no cousins, it's just family. It's just you, it's no, we don't have different tiers. You're just family, period. Learning even the words that I felt were so foreign to me have become a part of my vocabulary now. Understanding, like you mentioned, with the history, I question where a lot of things come from now. So if I hear "oh, we're lazy," I'm like, who made that up? When did we first hear that, and who and why? What is the purpose of us being told that or believing that, and what are the impacts, the residual impacts of that? I love the part about us talking about our lineage and how many people came before us to get us to this point. So we are acknowledging how much laughter and tears came before us, and we are someone's dream. And for that, it gives me a sense of pride and responsibility to do better, to represent. Somebody came before me, somebody in my lineage wanted this for me, and I wanted to make the best out of it. So the bonding with these people, I mean, I was in a class, I'm here in a class with you guys in two different countries already, which is, it's just so cool. So I can't wait till, I'm gonna claim it right now. One day we're gonna meet in person, right? Our military lineage, all that. Thank you, Walter. We talk about all that in these emotional emancipation circles, all of the things that we have done, that the truth is we don't need anymore really to be asking other people's permission to celebrate. I don't need to celebrate this in February. You're not going to tell me I have a whole list now of people that I am grateful to for coming before us and lighting the way and opening these doors. So this is something that I'm praying for my kids and my kids, etc., etc. As we continue to go on, I just want to learn, and I'm not scared anymore to ask those questions. I want to find my tribe. I really do. And I'm excited about that. And I'm excited to see what the change in the community will be when they start really loving on themselves and loving on each other. And when we take this, even the fact that this is in part due to the people who came before us in the African, what is it, the ABPSI, that is the American Black Psychologists,
Mm-hmm.
that in itself. So me being in school, I'm a grad student, I didn't even know there was such things. So I'm like, wait, they have Black counselors and Black psychologists associations and all these things. And so I can talk to someone on a different level besides human, on a
Yeah.
different level, to talk about my mental health, and
Mm-hmm.
in turn can help others do that. So I'm just excited to
Mm-hmm.
see what a classroom full of kids who gets this kind of education gets, what kind of changes more people um, will 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 show once they've been through this, because I know I've been changed. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Any last ones?
I have one last one.
Mhm,
So, my final one was really being in community. So, for me, that was one thing that has changed my life is being in a collective, a group of great people where healing and change actually happens. I think community is where magic can happen. So, this is where we can transform things like intergenerational trauma, the racial stress. Um,
mhm,
Also, one thing for me in community is thinking back to the groups I was in, is just sharing perspectives, your hopes,
mhm,
your wishes, your dreams for a better future, a better concept of who you are, imagining where you want to go, right?
mhm.
Crafting a new vision for yourself. So for me, that was last but not least, I think the number three.
Yes.
Wonderful.
For me, my number three was the Sawubona meditation. I don't know. There is some kind of magic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's written by, is it Sherry Harrell? I think is her name.
Indeed.
Um, yeah. So she came up with it, but I think, she really spent time to understand the essence
Hmm.
of what Sawubona is, and for me, it was the first time hearing that at every EEC, that
Hmm.
you really felt how powerful, being seen by people who are like us, people who share similarities in terms of DNA,
Hmm.
culture, ethnicity, etc. But just being seen by your community, how impactful that can be, just in terms of how we see ourselves,
Hmm.
and how we walk in the world. I'm sure we all walk slightly differently, knowing that we're not alone and that other people see us. So yeah, for me that was the one of the powerful things.
Yes, absolutely. I wrote that my third was the empowerment that I felt coming out of it. When you mentioned Sawubona, for those who are watching and don't know what that means, it means I see you. And I'm a veteran, and I've been to a few veteran retreats, and some of them are for, I think of the ones specifically for female veterans who have been traumatized. And there's something about, you know, looking someone in the eye and truly saying, I see you, that you're not just a blob of clay walking past. No, sweetie, I see you. I see your pain. I'm here to share it with you. And in that space, so, especially for me, not knowing where I belong as a person in this country. I've my parents, like I said, they're immigrants. So one big thing for them was to make sure I spoke proper English. So what that did for me in my black neighborhood was them teasing me, "Oh, you speak too white." So it's like, and this has happened with my children as well. As I try to educate them as much as possible. We're gonna talk a different way. It doesn't mean that I can't adapt, to the situation, but it almost made you feel guilty for knowing something other than what was being told. And when I came to the EECs, I did not get any of that. I just felt like I was okay to be me. There was no judgment. It was just very welcoming. I remember being very concerned with Ashe and not, I'm like, wait, I don't know that word. What does that mean? I don't want to say it and I don't know what it means because am I saying about, am I claiming something? Is this, but finally understanding it, making sure I did the research for myself and say, and being so free with it now because I feel like it belongs to us. Something that truly belongs to us is something that I'm sharing with other people when I say it to them. So it was just impactful for me. Also, just being in the room with just so much knowledge. Oh my gosh, the knowledge from all the professionals that are a part of this. The I didn't even realize at times that I'm in the room with professors, or and if it wasn't on that level, I'm talking to a yogi in England, and she's doing something for the people there, and I'm like, man, this is love. I feel this. This is people sowing seeds of love. I haven't even met them yet, and I feel like I'm getting a hug because My confidence in myself and my purpose is growing now that I am beginning to really understand truly who I am. And that is, I honestly, if it wasn't for the EECs, I'm not sure if I would feel that strongly about it. I am, instead of hiding my curiosity now, I celebrate it. I want to know. I want to know it all. And I want others to know so we can all be free. If you go on the Community Healing Network site, it talks about, escape with us. Now, of course, like I said, I found out about this from a relocation tour to Panama, but the escape doesn't have to be a physical escape. I feel like this has helped me escape mentally.
Mm-hmm.
That Laura has said it earlier, and it reminded me of that album from Lauryn Hill, the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I feel like we've been miseducated, and this Community Healing Network, ABPSI, Maya Angelou, all these people, they came together and they are trying to re-educate us so that we walk in our purpose.
Yeah, for sure. Nice. So
So,
I think we've come to the part where we're gonna share a little bit about what we do.
yeah, please.
Laura, you wanna go first?
Go ahead, Sean.
I'm pretty simple. I
No, he's
teach.
not. He's lying. He's lying.
I teach communication studies. I teach Brazilian culture. Yeah, I just wrapped up a first class tonight in oral communication, so that was cool. Outside of that, I work with an NGO called the Black Consciousness Festival, and we really kind of grew out of celebration and trying to build awareness among students at university about what exactly is Black consciousness and how do we celebrate it. And it morphed into an online festival during COVID based on conversations. So we brought people together of African descent from all around the world, from as far as the continent, Europe, South America, and of course the Caribbean and North America to talk about things that were just important to us as people of African descent. Um, and so this year makes our fourth year, and we're gonna try to do some in-person stuff this year, but continue with the virtual stuff because it really is a place and a potential possibility for us as people of African descent in different spaces to connect and to communicate and to share about things that matter to all of us. So yeah, that's what we are as a festival generally. It's building awareness and creating the space for conversation.
Beautiful. Laura, did you want to go now?
Sure, yeah. So I guess a little bit about more what I do. So I offer confidential counseling and psychotherapy as part of my business. I do a lot of workshops. One of the things that I focused on mostly is self compassion. I am a trained mindful self compassion facilitator. So that's a big thing that I offer. Um, through my business, I also do things like mindful movement, a little bit of yoga, wellness talks, that kind of thing. I also still have my foot in the corporate world where I'm currently overseeing an inpatient mental health unit. So, people experiencing the acute phase of illness. That's something that I've done for quite a long time. So, in that area, our unit sees people who are struggling with things like depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, psychosis, suicidality. My team consists of a whole group of interprofessionals. There's physicians, nurses, there's occupational therapists on my team. We have a nurse practitioner, a counselor, and within that role, I work within the whole hospital to make operations run smoothly. So that's mostly like professionally about me. Another big part of me is I love to travel. So I'll just say that. Jamaica is my happy place. So that's where you'll find me when I'm not um, in Canada or online. Yeah. So
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what if you're watching this, what you don't realize is how much music we're about to have in our EEC. Do you hear how many countries are being represented? Can you imagine all the stuff that we're going to be doing together? You know, the EECs is not just talking or reading; it is connections. And you hear we have all this great energy and education here to bring us together in so many different ways. Sean doesn't know this, but he's the official DJ of our 8 weeks. Of our 8 week, he doesn't know this right now, but if he didn't know now, he knows.
He knows.
He knows, right?
I'm
Because I
ready. I'm
do.
ready.
Be ready, be ready. For those who don't know me, again, Ayana Brown. I am a certified mental health peer specialist here in Texas. I happen to be a disabled Navy veteran, an oh good lord, so many things, caregiver, and empty nester, etc., etc. Basically, I started to reach peer support because I recognized that the BIPOC community is struggling with insufficient access to resources and feeling like their individual needs are overlooked. So because like I said, I'm a disabled veteran, I'm a parent, I'm somebody's sister. I'm passionate about providing the advocacy, the consulting and collaboration with a nationwide, and I can't even say nationwide now, I say worldwide network of providers dedicated to education and empowerment. What I do is I do consultations, speaking engagements, workshops, etc. I am getting trained in healing. So that for me, as I said, I am in school, going to Texas Tech. Please God, the same time next year, I'll be done. I'll be a licensed counselor. Until then, I am continuing to learn things that I feel are going to be healing for our community. So I'm learning brain spotting. I'm learning anger management certs. All those things I am going to bring on top of EEC facilitation to the community. All that, right?
That's
So we
good.
did mention that we are facilitating some our group. So usually, if you look on the Community Healing Network, or those who are watching, you will see whether you are following them on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever. They usually have 4 week sessions. We are doing ours for 8. We want to spend time with you. We want you to be able to enjoy this, marinate on it for a bit, ask questions. We are building a community. We're building our tribe. So we ours starts on Tuesday evening. Excuse
Thursday.
me, Thursday evening. That's Thursday the 25th. Going for 8 weeks. And do we have any spots left, Sean, or or is everybody on a waiting list now?
We could take a couple more, I think. Yeah.
We have a few more spots. Okay. So
Hmm.
these are virtual meetings. They're going to be on Thursday. That's 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, starting May 25th through July 13th. I
Hmm.
will put in the chat the link to register. And again, if you have any questions, check in the comments. I gave you the Community Healing Network. You can learn more about that. See what they're doing even in the prisons, right, Sean? You are a part
Hmm.
of one of the programs in the prisons right now. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah. So right now we're doing the second cohort, I think, at Pendleton, EC, which is in the Midwest. And I can't remember the specific state, but it's in the Midwest. We have a cohort, I think, of about 20 men, and we meet with them once a week on a Wednesday to kind of go through
Okay.
the EECs. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've never seen, if you go on YouTube, I believe it's on the Community Healing Network, see the impact that that has brought to people in there, and just imagine what it's going to do
Hmm.
out in the community. I just put in the link to the registration form for our EEC. We do still have a few spots left. I'm looking on my Facebook. I'm looking at StreamYard. I don't see any questions. If anybody else have questions, any last things that you all wanted to say, you see how to get in touch with my colleagues, the Black Consciousness Festival at gmail.com and Laura at paradigmjoy.com, as well as me. This will be on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Come on. Any questions you guys have, please. We want to answer them. We want to bring this to more people because it's
Hmm.
needed. This And they said that there was a quote, "We need a mass-based movement for mental health patterned after Alcoholics Anonymous, where there are meetings people can attend and have education for critical consciousness. We need to start where we are in the places where people live." That was by Bell Hooks. And that is what the EECs do for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe we have any questions. Any last things for you from you guys?
Just looking forward to Thursday.
All right,
Me
absolutely.
too. See you there.
All right, everyone, have a great night. I'm going to go ahead and end here. Be safe.